They finally released the 4 stars that are coming on the Chiori and the Itto banner. And oh my, these look really bad. These are so awful. So we've got Dori, Goro, Yunjin, Chiori, and of course Itto. Yeah, these are very bad. So let's talk about these a little bit. We don't really need to spend too much time because this is a horrible banner for 4 stars. Yunjin is a normal attack buffer only. She does not work with Itto, so that's going to be really bad. She works best with characters like Yoimiya. She may end up working decently with Chiori, being a normal attack buffer, because Chiori does get elemental infusion, and as we'll talk about a little bit in the weapon banner, that actually increases your normal attacks, which is something that could be interesting for Chiori as well. The best character here, kind of interestingly, for both characters, both Itto and Chiori, or just in general, is Goro, because Goro is a 4-star Geo support that increases your character's defense, and since Chiori scales on attack and defense, and Itto scales also on mostly defense, but he uses his attack, Goro is actually pretty good. Dori, on the other hand, is not very good at all. Dori is an electro healer. She is a single target healer. She heals an incredibly high amount, but other electro characters are just better. Her damage is really bad, her energy requirements are very bad, her healing is very good, but if you wanted an electro healer, Kuki Shinobu is just like superior to her in like every way. The only way that she's not is healing. Kuki does not heal nearly as much as Dori does, but like Hyper Bloom wise, damage wise, it's much easier to use Kuki because the way Dori's burst works, which is the only way you could really reliably get Hyper Bloom, you have to stand in sort of a very small area. There's a lamp that's stationary, it's on the ground, and there's a tether, and so you have to run around the Dendro cores with Dori and explode them with the tether. The thing is, the tether does not have a very long range. It's about the size of Bennett's burst, so it's pretty small. And unlike Kuki, who has that ring that you just walk in and out and it follows your character, which is much easier to use and play around, especially if the enemies move and you're fighting a lot of enemies that like to jump around and are very mobile. So Dori, Yunjin, very niche. Goro, niche, but works well with both Itto and Chiori. I did a review of these characters on my video that talks about which 5 stars you should go for in 4.5, so I won't rehash a lot of that. Chiori being off-field is pretty decent. Itto is probably the least recommended out of all of them though. He does pretty good damage, but compared to the other characters that are coming, he's just not going to stand up to as good as they are. Now, let's talk about this weapon banner, because this is interesting. We've got the Uraku Mitsugiri, which is Chiori's signature weapon, Red Horn Stone Thresher, which is Itto's signature weapon, Alley Flash, Alley Hunter, Fav Codex, Dragon's Bane, and the Bell. Let's talk about the 4 stars first. The Bell, terrible. One of the worst claymores ever. So, we'll just write that one off. Fav Codex, always very useful. Fav weapons, really, really good. More Fav weapons is pretty nice. The Dragon's Bane, kind of a niche weapon, but still pretty good. Very good for EM Raiden, very good for like reverse melt Rosaria, good for Hu Tao if you're needing a lot of EM. It's a pretty good weapon, especially with refinements. Can be good for Xiangling if you meet the energy recharge requirements, so it may seem like it's a little bit of a niche weapon, but it does have quite a bit of uses. Alley Hunter and Alley Flash are interesting. The Alley Flash, I believe it's called, which is the sword, has a 620 base attack, so it has a higher base attack at level 90 than the average 5-star weapon, making it a really good option for Bennett. So if you don't have a good 4-star weapon for Bennett, if you don't have either a good energy recharge weapon like the Sapwood Blade, this makes a really good option for the super high base attack, so you get the extra attack transfer from Bennett. So that's really, really solid there. Outside of that, not too many uses. Alley Flash is or Alley Hunter, the bow, is a pretty interesting one as well. It has a fairly high base attack for a 4-star weapon. At 90 it's 565, so that's pretty nice. It also gives you attack percent, so it's kind of like an attack stat stick. And then it has this interesting passive where when your character is not on the field, their damage increases every second up to 20% at refinement 1. So it's a very good weapon for Fischl. And then when the character's on the field, they lose that damage percent buff every second they're on the field. So basically you want to keep them off the field for a long time, switch in only to use a skill or burst, and then switch off to keep the damage percent. So it's a pretty good weapon for Fischl. And then we got the 5 stars, which are both pretty good. Redhorn Stone Thresher is a very solid 5-star claymore. Obviously it's very good for Itto, it's very good for Noelle, it's good for Diluc. It gives you defense percent, which is, you know, not the greatest, but the fact that it has high crit damage is really, really nice. And then we've got the Araku Mitsugiri, which is the 5-star sword. And this is interesting because it has a load of bonuses it gives you. It's 542 base attack at level 90, 88 crit damage. It increases your normal attack and skill damage. And then when a character deals geo damage, it doubles the effect of the increasing your normal attack damage and your skill damage. So that's pretty interesting. And then it also gives you extra defense. So it's clearly a Chiori weapon, but it's also very good for Albedo. And then if there's a character that wants a lot of crit damage, doesn't really care about the base attack of a weapon, but also really wants to do normal attacks and skill damage, it could be pretty good for them. Overall, I don't think I would recommend wishing on this weapon banner though, and unless you're just really in for Chiori or Itto, I would definitely not wish on these banners either. The 4 stars are just really, really bad, and especially with Kazuha and Nouvelets coming in the second phase, hopefully the 4 stars will be much better there, and you're getting much better or much more useful 5 stars overall if you don't have your account really built out. So I say for pretty much everyone, this is basically a skip. Let's take a look at this too, the new Chronicle Wish, Ode to Dawn Breeze. With the 5-star characters, you can be being Eula, Mona, Albedo, Klee, Jean, and Diluc. And then the weapons being the Favonius, like Skyward series, and then Beacon of the Reed Sea, Wolf's Gravestone, and the... oh, there should be more. There should be Lost Prayer, and then also Song of Broken Pines. Aquila, Broken Pines, Scarce Pine, Lost Prayer, Skyward Atlas, Hunter's Path as well, which they don't show. This duration only to 4/2, only to April 2nd, which means this banner is only going to be for the first phase. It's only going to be 21 days instead of being the whole patch or longer, which makes this more of a giant scam because this is a fate point system, so if you lose your 50-50 on one of these, you don't get your guaranteed one later. So, even more of a scam. This is basically a better weapon banner if you really wanted the weapons, but for characters, an absolute scam. Don't wish on this if you want one of the characters, unless you have 180 Primo Gems, or 180 wishes, not Primos, 180 wishes to just blow. If you had a ton of extra wishes, and you wanted one of these characters really badly, then like, yeah, go ahead. But honestly, I would say, go for characters that you want or need more before going for this, because if you don't get one of these characters, you could like maybe wish for, I don't know, let's say you wish for Albedo and then you get like Eula. Like that's kind of neat because you did get a limited 5-star when you lost, but if you can't go and get the Albedo that you were wishing for, well, then you're not going to be able to get the 50-50 character after this banner disappears. You have to roll the 50-50 again, and I just really hate that system for the characters. I guess that's okay for the weapons, but even with these, I think you should just have the same level of guarantee for them. Yeah, this banner feels like a giant scam. I probably wouldn't recommend anyone really wish on these. Let's look at the 4 stars though, because this is interesting. Okay, blah 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 blah. This thing just caught my eye right here. The event exclusive weapons, blah blah blah, as well as event exclusive 4-star weapons, Alley Flash, Wine and Song, Catalyst, Mitternacht's Waltz, which is Fischl's bow, Alley Hunter bow will be available for a limited time. So it seems like they're having these 4-star weapons, like the Alley ones as well, which will be interesting. Which makes me think that when if they do the different regions of these, like if they do the Liyue region or the Sumeru region, they're going to bring in the Lithic series for Liyue, and they'll do the Xiphos Moonlight and that series for Sumeru and stuff like that, which is kind of interesting. All 5-star and 4-star items will be the following. Okay. Alright, we know these 4-star characters: Mika, Rosario, Dino, Noelle, Bennett, Fischl, Amber, Razor, Kaya, Barbara, Lisa. Okay, so the 4 stars are all going to be Mondstadt characters as well. Interesting that you can get Kaya and Lisa here as well, because you could normally only get those from Standard. Weapons: Alley Flash, Lion's Roar, Sack, Flute, Favonius, Rain Slasher, Sack Greatsword, Bell, Favonius Greatsword, Lance, Dragon's Bane, Wine and Song, Eye of Perception, Sacrificial, Woodsith, Favonius Codex, Minarca, Waltz, Alley Hunter, Rust. So it looks like with the 4-star weapons, they're going to have the regular ones that you can get, like Fav, Dragon's Bane, Eye of Perception, all that stuff. Just regular 4-star weapons. And then they're going to sprinkle in the regional ones as well. That's kind of interesting. I don't think that makes this banner of that much more value. However, if you did want some of those unique gacha-only 4-star weapons that usually only appear on the weapon banner, and if you wanted Mondstadt-only 4-star characters, it makes it a little bit better, I suppose. But what this does is it eliminates some weapons from the pool that could be really useful, at least character-wise. It eliminates characters like Jincho, like Kuki Shinobu, like Yao Yao, at least for this banner, so that's unfortunate. Huh. Guarantee count is accumulated, is independent of guarantee. Yeah, okay. So this has its own pity, is basically what it's saying. Seems still like a scam to me. I don't know. I would not recommend people wishing on this. This is a... this makes me feel not great.